Hello everyone, and welcome back to Archeage 101. My name is Jalan, and I lead the Paradox Guild on the Sulphura server. So if you're on Sulphura and you need anything, feel free to message me in-game or send me an in-game mail. Out of game, you can head over to our webpage at www.paradoxgaming.net, or you can send us an email at the address below. Good morning everyone. Welcome back to Archeage 101. This is part 9, Housing and Land, the more advanced stuff. There's a lot to do today. The advanced part of housing is pretty detailed. For all the new players out there looking at this objective list, don't feel that you have to digest all of this in one sitting. You'll see in the comments below, I have each topic time indexed out. So when you need to reference something, you can just come on back to the video and watch just the specific section that you need. On the last video, I asked the veterans who watch my channel to stay on point and not bring up anything that I wasn't covering in the basics video. Well, today, I invite you to go crazy. If you think I missed something and you want to add more detail to it, go ahead, throw out a comment, and let's have some good discussion on it. The first topic in the advanced portion of housing and land is residency. In order to establish residency in a specific zone, you have to have a 16 by 16 house or bigger. It has to be a structure with a roof, so it cannot just be land, and it cannot be a silo because silos are 8 by 8. So when you come in to the game and you go to any community center, outside the community center is going to be this resident board. When you click on the board, it's going to bring up the information window. The first thing you can see here is that my status in Rookbourne Basin is that I'm a resident. If I click on this question mark right here, it'll talk about all of the residency qualifications, the structures that qualify, and what happens if you remove the last property you have in a zone. Now, a lot of people have asked me, why should I care about residency? Well, the biggest thing I want to tell you is that you should care because you get money. If you do your dailies, you get just free money for living in a zone. 5% of all the crafting fees in the zone go into a communal pot. At the end of the rank 3 development, you get your cut of that 5%. So to go back in the game and show you this, you will see that the cumulative service fees for Rookbourne Basin is 2,600 gold. You'll see that my prestige is 1,000. I'm going to bring us into residence, and you can see that the people who live here have done quite a bit of work in order to get this up to resident level 3. And this shows me everybody that lives in the zone and how much they're contributing. So when this payment goes out, Jalan will get whatever his fair share of 1,000 contribution is. One other reason why you should care about doing your residency dailies is that there are 7 zones which can produce one of these grand improved workbenches when they're at rank 3 or higher. These zones are Falcorth, Rookbourne, Windscour, Halcyona, Hellswamp, Sanddeep, and Marianopal. These workbenches allow you to do the advanced 230,000 crafting, such as weapon and armor anchoring shards, the divine dice, the advanced farming seed gathering bundles. So having a zone that's at rank 3 community development at all times is very useful. So the next thing I'm going to talk about are the jar quests on the advanced houses and residency tokens. So when I come into game and I talk to the task jar on my harvester's house, you'll see that it's going to offer me a quest that's going to pay me 5 gold, 500 vocation badges, 1 guild star, and 1 residency token. So when I accept this quest, it's backward roll, and it's asking me to collect 20 hay bales. So I'm quickly going to come up here to the Daru at the auction house. And as you can see, he now has a quest turn-in icon. And when I come up to him, I get my 5 gold, I lose my 20 hay bales, but I get my reward. And I'll see you in just 1 second back in the Rookbourne Community Center. Alright, here we are, back outside the Community Center in Rookbourne. And this time I'm here and I have my resident token. So I'm going to come along back to this side bench, and I'm going to feed in my ticket or my residency token. And if you remember, on the front board previously when I opened it, it said that my contribution was 1,000. So I'm going to come back around the side here, and I'm going to open up this residency board, and now you can see that my prestige has gone up to 1,010. Each one of those residency tokens increases your contribution by 10. While we're here, one other thing I'm going to show you is if you open up your family quests, all in the family, it's going to tell you to deliver the necessary supplies to improve the community center. Since I'm a resident of Rookborn, I can do this quest here, but I need to make sure that I open this quest because it's going to give me 1,500 vocation badges. So when I talk to this individual, he's going to give me a quest, and he's also going to give me 750 vocation badges, a resident token, and a Gilda Star. So since I have medicinal powder already in my bag, and it's going to be 100, so it's a little bit on the pricier side, but when I take my reward, I get my vocation badges, and I get my Gilda Star, and another residency token. And this is the way that several people on a server can make a lot of money. If they're the only people turning in residency tokens in a high populated zone with a lot of improved houses, they actually give themselves a very large bonus every month or every few weeks. Moving right along, the next topic is the remodeled thatched farmhouses, specifically the Multipurpose Trimmer. So if I'm in game and I need to crush 100 ginkgo leaves, I can right click on these and let them run on their own, and it's going to take quite a while for all 100 to be crushed 10 at a time. Or what I can do is I can come to one of these multi-purpose trimmers, and when I click on it, I can go into the specific area that's applicable, and with ginkgo leaves, since when I crush them, you can see it makes medicinal powder. I can click on medicinal powder, and since I have one stack of 100 and I hit craft, it's going to knock out the entire stack in one shot. Now I know what a lot of people are thinking right now. They're thinking, well, you only had 200 to do. Well, what if you have about this many to do? Do you really want to stare at your screen for the better part of a half hour while you 10 by 10 crush all these ginkgo leaves? I find that the multi-purpose trimmer is just a huge time saver for me. I also want to talk about the seed beds a little bit more. Kin Ryu from YouTube pointed something out when I was talking about the seed beds, and I talked about climate. You'll see that this area is a temperate climate. So if I was trying to grow seeds in any other climate but temperate, they'd have the growth penalty. But if I put them in my muddy fields on my remodeled thatched farmhouses, they're treated as if they're in their native environment. So that's a good shout out to Kin for that. The next thing I want to talk about is upgraded houses, specifically the armorers, apothecary, and tradesman houses, because on the top floor of these is a complex processing shelf. And this is just another huge time saver when you're trying to get a lot of things done in a short amount of time. So when I come back in a game, I'm going to come over here to this processing shelf, and it shows me all the things that I can do quickly to save time. Now, one trick I'm going to show you is I'm going to go into leatherworking and speed crafting 100, and I want to try to make a full stack of leather in one shot. Well, unfortunately, I don't have the 30,000 proficiency that this requires. I do have the Dawn's Drop guards that give me 5,000, but that's only going to take me to 17,000. However, I know that next door, the house here, has the leatherworking buffs. Oops. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get myself to the top floor. Now, same thing, complex processing shelf. And when I come over to leatherworking, now I have 37,000 because this house itself gives a bonus to leatherworking. So instead of having to do these one by one, I hit craft one time. A little bit slow, A little bit slower than the thatched farmhouse version, but still I'm going to knock out an entire stack of leather in one shot. So that is very useful if you have alts that do all your processing. Just find public properties like I have on Sulfura and just park them near the mailbox and just ship the work back and forth. Saves you a ton of time on your day. That brings us to water houses. I specifically left water houses and aqua farms out of the basic video because these are a really specialty type of property that only a few people are going to actually be able to turn a profit using. I wanted to bring to your attention just these straight data points here, and no, these are not typos. The Breezy Bungalow, which is a 24 by 24, costs 300 Guildastars, and the title costs 300 Guildastars. The only difference between the two is the little bit more planting room on the title because it's 4 by 4 bigger. And the title has a private fish hook, so you can take your fish to it rather than bringing them into a public node in one of the major cities. But I want you to look at the requirements for construction, and the difference in that is absolutely huge. It will take you a lot longer to pay off the title bungalow. The only reason that you need these two properties is to grow coral. There were some changes to the title bungalow several versions back that North America and Europe never got to see, where you could store packs at them. We never actually played under that concept, so the titles were never really worth the value. But if you're somebody who's finding themselves needing a lot of coral in a short amount of time, I wouldn't recommend either of the water houses. I would recommend that you just get an aqua farm. It's 16 by 16. It's 20 Guildastars and it's no materials needed. This should be big enough to grow the coral for most people's needs, unless you're specifically an alchemist or a handicrafter. And truthfully, as we talked about with property before, you can drop one of these, plant and grow your coral, and then rip it right back up and try to save yourself the taxes. I just don't want to see anybody invest all of that material into a breezy bungalow and then find out that they're barely using it. The next piece of property on our list is the candy houses, or by their official name, the deserted cottage. These can be purchased for 750 merits out of the marketplace. They do come with a little bit of a high material requirement at 30 stone packs. This does get a little expensive. They do produce a consumable called the Marvelous Chocolate, which can be used to craft furniture or to increase loot drop rate and loot gold rate by 10% for 1 hour. And I'd like to thank Rose Raid from Sulfura for being up at 3 a.m. for helping me out with that. As we go in a game, I'm going to be completely honest. I don't really like the way these look. I think that they kind of ruined a lot of the housing zones because Archeage was originally branded as a steampunk-esque sort of game, and this candy house kind of drives us to the silly anime type. If you look around the rest of this housing district, the rest of this housing district looks like, an MMO housing district, and then you just got this silliness right here. No disrespect intended to anybody who likes these. I think it would have been really cool if they had done like a new housing zone called Gingerbread Lane and let all of the people who like to decorate just had a zone that they could do the best candy houses that they could. But, we take what we get and we move on from it. So if you like candy houses, decorate them to your heart's content. As we start to wind down here, I'm going to address silos. And silos have lost a lot of their flexibility now that 3.5 has totally changed the trade route and the trade method. These buildings would have been great at launch. Just a little 8x8 property for players to be able to do a little bit of everything. I'm going to click in a game real quick and show you that in a silo, you have 10 trade pack storages that you can put packs into. And as I pull out my plant or whatever so I can show you, as you see, this is an 8x8. Very, very small footprint, but that lets you stack 8 trade packs into, and they can stay there basically forever. But now we know that the new way the trade packs work is that they have an inherent value. So sitting around with trade packs somewhere probably isn't going to be the best idea. But what I want you to think about is that daily quest that allows you to turn packs in as a quest item instead of a trade pack. There probably is some opportunity to stage a silo close to Falcorth Arkham so that you can make one trip a week with the packs you need, fill up your silo, and then every day just very quickly do that quest to turn in the pack and get the vocation that we talked about in a different video. And our final building for the day is the Fellowship Plaza, the original public property. Specifically asked by Creamboy on YouTube was, what advantages do the owners have? Well, the only advantage that the owner of a Fellowship Plaza has is that he can decide when to light the fireplace so people can port there. Anything he puts onto the plaza becomes public use. So I'm going to flip into game real quick, and this is what a basic Fellowship Plaza looks like. So anything that you were to put on here would be usable by everybody, with the exception of chests. I do want to remind you that you could put chests on your Fellowship Plaza, and you set chest access independently of building access. The big draw for Fellowship Plazas were the specialty packs that came out of them. Only a resident inside a housing zone in this zone could make these. So if you lived in Rookborn, you could make the Rookborn millet. This used to be called corn hash, but you would be able to make this. The reason why fellowships have kind of died off for the most part is, I'm going to show you in 1 second. I got to get to the community center. So here I am. I've come into the Rookborn Community Center area, and I've come over to the specialty workbench. And as you can see, that same specialty pack that I could make at a fellowship in the housing district, I can make here as well. This is really, really powerful if you're trying to min-max out your profits, because now at the same bench, you could make some biscuit sticks, some fruit leather, and some of the millet all at the same time, and then you'd be able to bring in your freighter or your car or whatever to a trade center with a mix and match cornucopia of different packs to try to maximize the most gold. And just one other small quick thing I want to show you guys related to housing. This is just a little bit of extra credit. This is a way that you can save a lot of ports around the world and not have to have high cost buildings to have the port accessible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into game, and I'm going to click on my book, and I'm going to click on my recorded sites, and I am going to take a spot in the middle of the ocean so that you can see how you can basically be sneaky. So there we go. I'm porting to Castaway Strait. And what you're going to see here in a moment is I'm going to drop out right on top of a farm. And I know what you're thinking. You're going to say, I can't save to a farm. Well, the truth is there was a cottage here. And what I did was I saved the cottage fireplace spot. And then once I demoed the cottage, I dropped an 8x8 in to make sure another cottage doesn't end up here. And so for as long as there's not another building here, I can port directly to this farm. All right, everyone. Before we finish today's episode, I want to show you one more thing. I want you to know that we're in the middle of the Rum Runners Festival. And the rewards this year aren't quite as good as they've been in previous years. There is no Donkey Dash. There is no 10 for 1 coin buffs. But what is in the gift exchanger, if I come in here and I click on Merchant Costume Basic, you will see that the Merchant Costume Basic increases move speed, XP from labor, production time. But look at that, increases all proficiencies. That's a flat 10,000 increase on your proficiencies, added on to the fact that you can get fairly cheaply plus 15,000 from Dawn's Drop gear. You're already looking at 25,000 just from gear. I highly recommend that you try to do this event enough times to get 50 coins. Also, just to highlight, there are 50 slot pirate treasure chests that you can get if you are just new to the game and just getting your property. This is a nice, easy way to get a chest that you don't have to pay a lot for. Or if you're really big on decor items, there are some cool decor items, some cool swimsuits, if those things are what you're after. But my primary thing I would recommend for you is get that merchant costume for the proficiency increase. All right, guys, that's everything for today. I know that today feels like you just drank from a fire hose. Remember, everything is going to be time indexed in this video, so you can come back and look at whatever you need to. As always, if you need to ask a specific question, you know how to get a hold of me. And that's everything I have for you today. I'm Jalan from the Sulphura server. If you're on Sulphura and you need something, go ahead and send me an in-game message or mail. Check out our website, or send me an email to the address below. That's it. Class dismissed. Hey, you. Yes, you. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. Hit that subscribe button. Watch a couple of more videos. Go check out our website.